Hey BookTube! Welcome back to my channel. My name is the Book Mage and I'm here to tell you why you should read the Under the Northern Sky series by Leo Carew. So The Wolf was a book that I picked up in 2019, expecting it to be good, but still underestimating just how good this book is, and in fact this series is. Having read all three books, I just want to share my thoughts. There will be no spoilers in this video beyond like what you are told in the synopsis of the first book and like maybe the first chapter, but I would like to try and convince you to give this series a go, since I feel like these books are just super incredibly underhyped and underrated. So in the author's own words, The Wolf imagines a world much like medieval Britain, where more than one species of humanoid has survived into the Dark Ages. In the south you have the humans, but the north is occupied by a race called the Anakim. They are taller, just generally larger, stronger, and longer lived. And the two races are very hostile to one another. The humans are populous and industrious, whereas the Anakim maintain a wilder, more spiritual but more disciplined kind of culture. At the very start of The Wolf, the two armies meet on the battlefield. The Anakim are by far the more skilled force, but they often lack the numbers and modern weaponry of the humans. Still, the expectation is that the Anakim will likely win. This is until the clever tactics from the humans turns the tide of battle in their favour. As a result, the Black Lord, the leader of the Anakim people, is killed. So The Wolf is a multi-perspective fantasy, and you follow characters on both sides of this war. In the north, Roper, the son of the now-dead Black Lord, finds himself thrust too early into his father's position. Thrown into a world of politics he does not understand, expected to lead his people well before his time. For Roper, his story is one of trying desperately to win alliances, maintain his grip on the throne, and to turn the tide of war on the opposing human forces. In the south, however, we are following Bellemus, an upstart commoner who has worked his way into a tenuous position among the nobility, and he uses his incredible cunning to instigate further aggression towards the Anakim forces while outthinking them on the battlefield for reasons that are, I will say, uniquely his own. So while this is a fantasy, it is all based in realism and there is no magic to be found here. The fantastical element is really in the existence of the non-human races, and I actually feel like this series is probably about as close as you can come to just a historical fiction while still maintaining the fantastical aspect by way of inclusion of the other like non-human races. So if you're expecting wizards and dragons, then you won't find them here, but I would still highly recommend giving the series a go. Especially if you are the kind of reader who enjoys books about battles, warfare, warriors, close combat, and if that is you, then you should absolutely pick up this series. The way that the Anakim warrior society deeply reveres the heroes of their history and has great respect for like the greatest warriors among them was almost reminiscent to me of like classical like Greek and Roman literature. The actual action, however, is far less poetic, much more gritty and realistic, and there's a real visceral, corporeal feeling to the combat. You can really feel the characters' exhaustion, their desperation, their confusion in the heat of battle. Every win and every loss is really keenly felt on the page, and despite the fact that there are a number of both bigger and smaller battles like throughout the series as a whole, they all feel very unique and they don't become repetitive. It doesn't feel like the same sort of thing over and over again. A good number of the characters across this series are warriors. Some are fresh, some are veterans, so if you really like that sort of action and melee, then this series will definitely provide that. That's not to say the book is nothing but action. I would say the book is pretty equally split between being plot and being character driven. And if you enjoy a wide range of characters and multiple perspectives, then the series really delivers. The characters all feel secure in their beliefs and their motivations. Their actions and reactions make sense, and interpersonal relationships between the characters are always evolving and changing based on the events of the story. So you really get to see the characters grow, and there are some pretty big, satisfying character arcs across the series as a whole. I would say if you are the kind of person that mostly only cares about individual relationships or really needs a strong romance at like the core of the story, then you're not going to find that here. While there are relationships of every type explored throughout the series, no one relationship pulls that much weight on its own, because the story is just much bigger than any one person, any one friendship or romance or rivalry. But there are still smaller, more intimate moments between characters that really still carry an emotional weight, and depending on the circumstance can either be really satisfying or completely devastating. The other thing I really want to say about this series is that if you like world building that feels intricate and realistic and isn't just set dressing, then these books definitely have that. It's surprising for a world that's based so closely on our own, that the additions feel unique and creative while still feeling natural and like it could be something that would just slot into the existing history. The author is a biological anthropologist, and I feel like his interest and knowledge really shows in the text. There's a big focus on the Anakim culture and their way of life, from their ideological beliefs to their home life to the kind of food that they eat. It's wonderfully lifelike and incredibly intricate, but it's not ever in a way that is obtrusive, and it never gets in the way of the primary goal of the narrative, which is to tell the story. It's always adding flavour to the text. It is supporting character reasons or motivations that might feel otherwise foreign to us, but which in context make perfect sense. The Anakim feel really grounded in their own reality, and it really helps you empathise with characters who have these wildly different values, because the book really enforces that this is the only choice that this person can make, because of who they are. All aspects of the text really work together to support each other in a way that feels cohesive and makes sense. And while there's no magic system or no like mystical land to explore, I still think the world building is really excellent. And sometimes the cultural or societal aspects of fantasy world building are often overlooked in favour of the environment or the creatures or like the magic system. So if you want well realised, well grounded world building that is ever present but that is not overwhelming, then this book definitely has a lot to offer in that regard. The Under the Northern Sky series has become one of my favourite fantasy series of all time. I think it is incredibly well written, well paced, engaging, emotionally impactful, and just a really well done series from start to finish. Every time I picked up one of these books I was just immediately absorbed. These are not small books, but I found them so easy to fly through. The writing is not dense and offers no resistance, and the multi-perspective left me always wanting to get back to the last perspective I had read from, and it was like that for every perspective. It was really hard to put the books down, and they were so entertaining and rewarding that I just wanted to share how much I really loved this series. And hopefully if you're now considering giving this series a go, you will enjoy them just as much as I did. So that is my pitch for why I think you should read the Under the Northern Sky series by Leo Carew, and why I think you might love this series if you enjoy any of the things that I have talked about. And hopefully you'll check it out, but if that's not your thing, I make videos on all kinds of fantasy books, so consider checking out the rest of my channel. Otherwise, that is it from me, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!